There are moments in television history that stop you cold, moments where you forget you're watching a competition and start feeling something real. For millions of viewers tuned into Season 12 of America's Got Talent in 2017, one of those moments arrived in the form of a 9-year-old girl standing alone on a massive stage, opening her mouth and unleashing a voice that seemed utterly impossible for someone her size, her age, her everything. That girl was Angelica Hale. And what made her story even more staggering than her voice was what she had survived just to be standing there at all. Angelica was born into a Filipino-American family, and from her earliest years, she carried within her a warmth and expressiveness that her parents recognized as something rare. She was the kind of child who would sing around the house not for attention, but because music was simply how she processed the world around her. But before she ever had the chance to discover how far that gift might take her, life handed her something no child should ever have to face. At just 4 years old, Angelica contracted a rare and severe bacterial infection that rapidly developed into double pneumonia. That alone would have been terrifying enough. But the infection escalated further, spiraling into sepsis, a life-threatening condition where the body's response to infection begins destroying its own organs. Her kidneys began to fail. Other systems followed. Doctors placed her in a medically induced coma and connected her to ECMO life support, a machine that does the work of the heart and lungs when those organs can no longer function on their own. She underwent both hemodialysis and peritoneal dialysis as her tiny body fought to survive. She spent more than 80 days in the hospital. There were moments when her family didn't know if she would make it through the night. She made it, but her fight wasn't over. Even after being discharged, Angelica required ongoing dialysis because her kidneys could not sustain her on their own. The solution came through an extraordinary act of love. Her mother, Eva, was found to be a perfect donor match and donated one of her own kidneys to her daughter. The transplant surgery took place in September 2013 and was a complete success. Angelica was finally truly free. Free from dialysis, free from machines, free to begin rebuilding a life that had barely begun. What happened next is everything about who Angelica Hale is as a person. Rather than retreating from the world, rather than spending her childhood quietly recovering in the background, she turned toward music with ferocity and tenderness that surprised everyone around her. During her hospital stays, music had been her emotional lifeline. Her parents recalled how she would sing even during painful treatments, using melody as a way to cope, to hope, to endure. Those early videos captured on her father's phone and uploaded to YouTube began drawing attention from strangers who were moved not just by her talent but by the extraordinary human being behind it. Her parents recognized what they had and enrolled her in professional vocal coaching after her recovery. She trained under experienced coaches in Atlanta and began performing at local events, charity galas, retirement homes, foundation bowls, and smaller public stages that taught her what it feels like to hold an audience's attention. By the time she stood in front of the America's Got Talent judges at age 9, she wasn't an untrained phenomenon. She was a young artist who had been quietly preparing for years. Her audition performance of Andra Day's Rise Up was the kind of television moment that people talk about for years afterward. The song, already emotionally powerful on its own, took on an entirely different dimension when performed by a child who had literally risen up from the edge of death. The judges were visibly shaken. The audience was on its feet. Simon Cowell, not known for easy sentimentality, was openly moved. She advanced with unanimous praise, and the competition had, in many ways, already found its emotional heart. As the season progressed, Angelica grew in front of the nation's eyes. Her Judge Cut's performance of Alicia Keys' Girl on Fire was so commanding that guest judge Chris Hardwick hit the golden buzzer, sending her directly to the live shows, making her one of the youngest performers ever to receive that honor in the show's history. Through the quarterfinals and semifinals, she delivered technically demanding performances with an emotional authenticity that belied her age. In the finale, she performed Symphony by Clean Bandit and then joined fellow finalist Kechi Okuchi for a duet with Kelly Clarkson on Stronger, What Doesn't Kill You, a choice of song that felt almost too perfectly suited to her story. She finished in second place, just behind the extraordinary ventriloquist Darcelin. At 10 years old, she became the youngest runner-up in AGT history. But anyone watching understood that second place in that particular competition was not a defeat. It was a launching pad. The years that followed confirmed exactly that. In 2019, Angelica returned to the AGT universe for the special season AGT, The Champions, which gathered the most memorable acts from the show's history and its international counterparts. She arrived not as a 9-year-old who had stunned the world, but as a more polished, more confident young artist who had spent 2 years growing into her voice and her identity. For her comeback performance, she chose Rachel Platen's Fight Song, and the choice was perfect, a declaration of resilience that matched everything her life represented. Howie Mandel was so overwhelmed that he pressed a golden buzzer, making Angelica the first contestant in AGT history to receive that honor twice. It was a remarkable distinction, and it was thoroughly earned. Outside of the AGT stage, her performance resume had been building steadily. She sang America the Beautiful at the U.S. Open men's semifinals at Arthur Ashe Stadium in front of thousands of fans. She performed the national anthem at multiple NFL games, including matchups at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta and Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. She appeared on the nationally televised Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in November 2017, performing Girl on Fire from a float watched by millions of viewers across the country. She made a memorable appearance on Steve Harvey's Little Big Shots, charming the audience with her rendition of I'll Be There. She also went on the America's Got Talent Live tour with fellow Season 12 contestants, performing night after night in cities across the country and developing the kind of stamina and stage instinct that only consistent live performance can build. Her international profile began expanding in 2019 when she joined the TNT Boys on their Listen, the world tour as a special guest. The connection was a natural one. The Filipino boy band shared her cultural heritage, and their combined fan base created an enthusiastic reception in cities including Los Angeles and Edmonton. She performed powerhouse ballads including Mariah Carey's Hero and Whitney Houston's Greatest Love of All, reinforcing her reputation as a vocalist willing and able to tackle the most demanding material in the pop and R&B canon. Canadian audiences received her especially warmly, and the tour marked a genuine step toward establishing her as a global artist rather than simply an American television talent. Alongside her performance career, Angelica made the bold decision to begin writing and releasing original music. In 2019, she released a debut single, Feel the Magic, a pop anthem drawn directly from her personal experiences of struggle and hope. A music video accompanied the release, and a growing online audience embraced the shift enthusiastically. The EP of the same name followed, featuring tracks including Overcome, which explored the emotional complexity of her journey with a maturity that surprised critics who might have expected something more superficial. The EP was made available across all major streaming platforms and marked a genuine turning point. This was no longer a cover artist leveraging television fame, but a songwriter staking out her own artistic territory. She also released Christmas-themed EPs, including Christmas Wonder in 2018 and Joy to the World in 2019, which featured classic holiday songs reimagined with modern arrangements suited to her vocal style. These releases found genuine audiences and became seasonal staples for many of her fans. Subsequent singles including No Time to Waste, recorded in partnership with the Sepsis Alliance, Looking Up, and Set a Place at Your Table, each demonstrated continued growth as a writer and as an artist unafraid to use a platform for something beyond pure entertainment. Her acting career developed alongside her music work. She took on the role of Anna in the 2022 musical film American Reject, playing a hopeful young girl whose optimism helps a struggling former reality show contestant rediscover his purpose. Critics noted that she held her own among more experienced performers and brought genuine warmth and authenticity to the role. She also moved into voice acting, providing the voice of Peggy the Polar Bear in Disney Junior's TOTS and later voicing characters in Celebrate Chuggington and the lead role in My Unstoppable, an animated series about a girl who faces challenges with courage and creativity. These projects introduced her to a younger generation of fans and demonstrated a versatility that extended well beyond singing. Then came Broadway. In 2025, Angelica made her debut on The Great White Way in BOOP. The musical, a reimagining of the classic Betty Boop franchise that opened at the Broadhurst Theatre. She played Tricia, a newly created character integral to the show's updated narrative. The role required her to sing, act, and dance simultaneously at the highest professional level, and by all accounts she delivered. Reviews praised her presence, her energy, and her vocal performance, and the debut cemented her status as a complete theatrical performer. Not a celebrity guest, but a genuine stage artist earning her place among Broadway's working professionals. Her advocacy work has run parallel to all of this throughout her career. She became the National Kidney Foundation's first-ever child ambassador in 2017, using that platform to promote organ donation and kidney health awareness through public appearances, PSAs, and visits to Capitol Hill. Her partnership with the Sepsis Alliance produced the It's About Time campaign, focused on educating the public about the early warning signs of condition that nearly killed her. In 2018, she received the Erin K. Flatley Spirit Award for her commitment to this advocacy. She has visited patients at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, performed for Children's Miracle Network hospitals, and participated in Celebrity Fight Night, the high-profile charitable event that benefits cancer research in children's hospitals. Her digital presence has grown to match her career accomplishments. Her YouTube channel has surpassed 3.36 million subscribers. On Facebook, she has accumulated over 3.9 million followers, a number that reflects her cross-generational appeal and the deep loyalty of her fan base. Instagram keeps her connected to over 1.5 million followers with personal content that reveals the human being behind the performer. TikTok has introduced her to newer, younger audiences through the kind of authentic, low-production content that the platform rewards. During the COVID-19 pandemic, she used these platforms to perform virtual concerts, participate in youth empowerment panels, and even launched a light-hearted cooking series with her younger sister that showed fans a completely different, wonderfully ordinary side of her life. As of 2024, her estimated net worth stands at approximately $3 million, generated through music royalties, touring, acting projects, brand partnerships aligned with her values, merchandise sales, and YouTube monetization. For someone who has not yet reached adulthood, the financial achievement is remarkable. But it is secondary to the cultural achievement. The fact that a Filipino-American girl from Atlanta who nearly died at 4 years old has built a career defined by authenticity, discipline, generosity, and an absolute refusal to be defined by her limitations. Where is Angelica Hale now? She is everywhere her voice can reach and everywhere her story can inspire. She is on Broadway and on streaming platforms. She is in hospital rooms lifting the spirits of sick children and in congressional hallways advocating for policies that could save lives. She is on social media connecting with fans across generational and cultural lines. She is in the recording studio crafting songs that tell the truth about pain and recovery and hope. She is still becoming, still in the early chapters of a story whose best moments may not yet have arrived. What began as a fight to survive became a fight to sing. What began as a fight to sing became something much larger, a life dedicated to using every platform available to prove that the human spirit, when it decides to endure, is capable of extraordinary things. Angelica Hale decided to endure, and the world is richer for it. Hollywood has always been a place where the carefully constructed image of a perfect life can crack without warning. For Melissa Gilbert, the actress the world knew and loved as Laura Ingalls from the beloved television series Little House on the Prairie, the cracks in her personal life story have been visible for decades, through painful divorces, public struggles with identity and sobriety, and the slow, difficult process of building a life that actually fit who she was rather than who the industry wanted her to be. But what has emerged in recent years, particularly in the context of her current marriage to actor Timothy Busfield, has been something genuinely unexpected. Not scandal in the traditional sense, but a reckoning with truth that Melissa Gilbert has chosen to share with the public rather than conceal from it. Melissa Gilbert grew up inside one of the most idealized fictional families in American television history. From 1974 to 1983, she played Laura Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie, the spunky, warm-hearted daughter at the center of a show that celebrated family values, hard work, and the enduring bonds of love. For millions of American families, the Ingalls were aspirational, a portrait of what a household could look like when built on integrity and mutual devotion. Melissa Gilbert was the human face of that aspiration, and the weight of that identity shaped her in ways she would spend decades untangling. Her